Hey guys, welcome back. I am Ashish, and in this session we'll be continuing with our 7th module, that is nothing but comparative public administration, and today we'll be dealing with some other technical stuff of CPA, that is nothing but purpose, nature and scope of CPA. So moving ahead with our session, we'll see what is the purpose of CPA. CPA has both intellectual and utilitarian objectives. So what are these? Are theory building in public administration. This is one of the intellectual objective or purpose of CPA. We have to build a theory in public administration. So this is one of the purpose. Theory building in public administration, that is to develop a universally valid body of knowledge concerning administrative behavior. In other words, to hasten the emergence of a genuine and generic discipline of public administration. So there should be a generic discipline of public administration. This is the purpose of CPA. So what do you mean by generic discipline? It means there should be something that is generalized over the nations, some features, some characteristics that are generalized, and hence we have a universal theory or a generic theory, right? So such emergence of generic theory and genuine theory of public administration is one of the purpose of CPA. The theory building is one of the intellectual purpose. So there are two factors, intellectual and utilitarian objectives. The second purpose is again an intellectual objective, to identify similarities and differences between different administrative systems of the world. So we have to identify these similarities and differences between different administrations. This is again another intellectual objective. The third objective that we'll study here is the utilitarian objective, to answer common problems and questions by studying the administrative processes and organizations of different countries on a comparative basis. So first of all, what do you understand by utilitarian? Utilitarian is something which has a great utility. ठीक है, यूटिलिटी का मतलब होता है जो बहुत लोग यूज कर सकें, जो सबको काम आए. ठीक है, तो वो होती है यूटिलिटेरियन, विच इज एप्लीकेबल और विच इज यूजफुल, विच इज बेनिफिशियल टू मैनी पीपल. ठीक है, इट इज अ गुड थिंग और अ गुड कॉज फॉर मैनी पीपल. दैट इज समथिंग विच इज यूटिलिटेरियन. तो CPA का भी एक यूटिलिटेरियन ऑब्जेक्टिव है. इट इज नथिंग बट टू आंसर कॉमन प्रॉब्लम्स एंड क्वेश्चंस बाय स्टडीइंग द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव प्रोसेसेस. तो जो भी कॉमन प्रॉब्लम्स हैं और क्वेश्चंस हैं उनका जवाब देना एक यूटिलिटेरियन ऑब्जेक्टिव है जो सबको हेल्प करेगा टू आंसर कॉमन प्रॉब्लम्स एंड क्वेश्चंस. सो आई होप दिस इज क्लियर टू यू. दीज आर द थ्री बेसिक पर्पज ऑफ CPA. नाउ एवरी ऑथर हैज गिवन देयर ओन वर्जन ऑफ पर्पज ऑफ CPA. आप कोई भी ऑथर पकड़ लो, कोई भी थिंकर पकड़ लो, हर थिंकर ने अपना एक अलग पर्पज दिया है. एवरी थिंकर हैज गिवन देयर ओन पर्पज of CPA. So these are the three basic purposes of CPA. If in exam you have to write about them in this manner. Now we will study what are the purposes given by Ramesh K. Arora. Ramesh K. Arora is one of the big Indian thinkers in the field of CPA. You might have heard about him. He has written a book also on CPA. So Ramesh K. Arora is a big Indian thinker on CPA. So he himself gave 4 purposes, but we will just brush upon them because they are more or less similar to our 3 basic principles. These 3 that we have studied are the major purposes of CPA. So what Ramesh K. Arora says is the purpose of CPA are to learn the distinctive features of particular system or cluster of systems. So it is the same thing that we have to learn distinctive features or similarities and differences. As you can see in our above point, we have to learn the distinctive features of a particular system or a cluster of systems. To explain the factors responsible for cross-national and cross-cultural differences in bureaucratic behavior. So why is there differences among different cultures and different nations? We have to study that and we have to find out the reasons for that. This is the another purpose of CPA according to Ramesh K. Arora. To examine the causes for the success or failure of the particular administrative feature in particular ecological setting. तो कोई एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एक नेशन में फेल क्यों हुई और एक कोई एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन एक पर्टिकुलर नेशन में सक्सीड क्यों हुई, ये फाइंड करना इज अनदर पर्पस. एज यू कैन सी, टू एग्जामिन द कॉजेज फॉर द सक्सेस और फेलियर ऑफ पर्टिकुलर एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव फीचर्स इन पर्टिकुलर इकोलॉजिकल सेटिंग्स. सो व्हाई डिड कम्युनिस्ट टाइप ऑफ एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन फेल इन USSR? ठीक है, 1991 में जो USSR में कम्युनिज्म का डिक्लाइन हुआ, why did that happen? So why a particular administrative setting failed in a particular nation, or why did a particular administrative setting succeed in a particular nation? This is the another purpose of CPA according to Ramesh K. Arora. To understand the strategies of administrative reform, this is another purpose of CPA. According to Farrell Heddy, who is another thinker of CPA, he gave 5 motivating concerns as intellectual enterprise. So he says that there are 5 basic purposes of CPA. The search for theory is the first purpose. There is a search for theory. It is nothing but the theory building, as we have seen. The search for theory, the urge for practical application of knowledge to the problems of developing countries. So developing countries के problem solve करने हैं. This is the second purpose of CPA, as we have already know that it is a post World War II phenomena, and one of the factors for its emergence is nothing but emergence of developing countries, right? So developing countries की problem solve करना is another purpose of CPA. The incidental contribution of the broader field of comparative politics पॉलिटिक्स टू कंपैरेटिव एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. सो पॉलिटिक्स भी एक तरीके से इन्फ्लुएंस करता है एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को. वी हैव ऑलरेडी स्टडीड दिस इन आवर प्रीवियस सेशन इफ यू रिमेंबर. द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ रिसर्चर्स ट्रेंड इन द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव लॉ ट्रेडिशन. सो दिस इज अनदर पर्पज दैट के जो रिसर्चर्स हैं उनका खुद का इंटरेस्ट है काम करने के लिए, तो वो अपना इंटरेस्ट, अपनी नॉलेज बढ़ाना चाहते हैं. सो द इंटरेस्ट ऑफ रिसर्चर्स ट्रेंड इन द एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव लॉ ट्रेडिशन. द इंटेंसिफाइड कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस ऑफ ऑनगोइंग प्रॉब्लम्स ऑफ पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. सो कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस ऑफ ऑनगोइंग प्रॉब्लम्स जो भी हैं उनका एक कंपैरेटिव एनालिसिस करना है. दिस इज अनदर पर्पज ऑफ CPA. दिस इज एज गिवन बाय फेरल हेडी. बट यू डू नॉट हैव टू रिमेंबर ऑल these things. If you find some of the point as important, you can add to it, but basically these are the three purposes. Two of them are intellectual, one is utilitarian objective. If in exam you have to write on these lines only, it will make your answer more meaningful and more beautiful, that CPA has both intellectual and utilitarian objectives. और आपको इनमें से अगर कोई नीचे में से आपको कोई भी लिखना है तो आप लिख सकते हो, ऐड कर सकते हो इनमें. So we'll move on to our next slide. We'll study the characteristics or features of comparative administration. First feature is that it is a fairly new development. As we already know, it came after World War II, right? So it is a fairly new development. Its origin can be traced to the 1952 conference on administration held at Princeton University. So we have studied this in our very first slide of our CPA session, if you remember. जो सबसे पहली स्लाइड थी CPA की, उसमें यही था कि 1952 में कॉन्फ्रेंस हुई थी at Princeton University, and this conference had its focus on comparative study, and this, what we can say, is the roots of start of comparative studies in the post World War II era. So its origin can be traced to 1952 conference. It emerged only in the 1960s as the new intellectual endeavor in the field. So we have already seen that 1960s was the boom time of CPA, because 1960s is the same time when CAG was formed, Comparative Administrative Group, if you remember. So 1960s is considered as the boom period of CPA. So this is a fairly new development. After World War II only it happened. In fact, after 1950s it came into vogue. So it is a fairly new development. This is one of the features of CPA. Second feature is it is in a pre-paradigmatic stage. CPA is in a pre-paradigmatic stage of development. It is characterized by a variety of approaches with no dominant or commonly accepted one in sight as yet. So what do you mean by paradigms? Paradigms means phases, right? हमने paradigms पढ़े ना. We have studied paradigms in our module 1, paradigm 1, paradigm 2. So what is one of the features of CPA is there is no paradigm of CPA as such, because there is no universally accepted theory as such. जो भी author आप पकड़ोगे ना, कोई भी thinker आप पकड़ लो, whatever thinker or author you pick up, they will have a different theory or different approach to comparative public administration. They do not have one common theory, so it does not fall in any paradigm as such. ठीक है, comparative public administration का ही अगर आप paradigms निकालोगे ना, तो comparative public administration as such is not characterized into phases. So it is in a pre-paradigmatic stage of development. It is characterized by a variety of approaches. As you can see, it is characterized by a variety of approaches with no dominant or commonly accepted one in sight as yet. This is due to different disciplinary contributions. तो बहुत सारे disciplines ने contribute किया है. Politics का भी influence हुआ है, sociology, anthropology, every discipline has contributed to it. So one of the reasons is this, that this is due to different disciplinary contributions, as also due to the over enthusiasm of CPA scholars to chart out new directions such as empirical and ecological. तो CPA scholars का ये over enthusiasm है कि उनको सब कुछ ecological भी consider करना था, right? So it becomes a vast study. You are considering everything, political environment, social environment, cultural environment, and every other environment you are considering. So you are considering all the empirical aspects and ecological aspects and everything. So such over enthusiasm is the other reason that we do not have a paradigm of CPA as such. You cannot call CPA in any of the paradigms that we have studied. So CPA is in a pre-paradigmatic stage of development. This is another feature of CPA or characteristic of CPA. It has close links with comparative politics. This is another feature. We have studied how comparative politics has influenced comparative public administration in a previous session. So it has close links with comparative politics. Ecology outlook is another feature. Ecological approach, we have studied what ecological approach is. So this point also says the same thing, that it has an ecological output. It considers the effect of the environment and every kind of environment, all the political, social, cultural. It considers its effect on administration. So it has an ecology outlook. And it is empirical in nature. What this means is it is based on collection of facts about structural patterns and behaviors of administrative systems, data analysis, experimentation, and arriving at generalizations of universal applicability are also concerns of CPA. So it is empirical in nature. It is derived after concluding from something. There are various experiments and data analysis that have happened. Structural patterns have been analyzed, their functions have been analyzed, so much of analysis has been done and conclusion has been derived, and this is why we say that CPA is empirical in nature. It is based on certain conclusions and everything. It is based on generalizations. So empirical nature is another feature of CPA. Emphasis on development administration. CPA is closely related to development administration, which centers on the developing nations of the third world. In fact, development administration is referred to as semi-autonomous subfield of CPA. So what development administration is, you will study in module 8, but when you will study development administration in module 8, you will find that there is a mention of RICS over there also. There is a mention of comparative public administration over there also. And as you can see in our last point, in fact, development administration is referred to as semi-autonomous field of CPA. So development administration is considered as semi-autonomous field of CPA. So this is how development administration and comparative administration are so closely related, because both of them focus on developing nations, on third world nations, and both of them came after World War II when new nations in Asia and Africa got independence. Both of these approaches focused on these new independent nations. So this is why development administration is very closely related to comparative public administration, and you will study this when you study development administration also. You will find CPA in there also, in that theory also, when you study development administration. So this is another feature of CPA. One is closed links with comparative politics, another is closed links with development administration. So these are some of the features of CPA. I hope this is clear to you. This is very simple. So moving on, we will now see what is the relation between public administration and comparative public administration. Now public administration is the main branch, right? It is the father branch or the mother branch, whatever you want to call it. It is the main branch, and comparative public administration is one part of public administration, right? So we will see what is the relation between them. CPA is a major subfield of the larger discipline of public administration. We saw this. It is the umbrella branch, the father branch, the mother branch, whatever you want to call it. Public administration is the larger discipline, and comparative public administration is the major subfield of public administration. It differs from public administration in the following respects. Public administration is culture bound. We saw this in our ecological approach, how public administration is culture bound. Please go back if you forgot that, watch that session. Public administration is culture bound. As a subsystem of political system in different countries, public administration has its own cultural values, norms, folkways, and socialization process. We have seen how public administration is culture bound. Please go back in ecological approach session. Contrarily, CPA is cross-cultural and cross-national in orientation. So what comparative public administration does is, it is cross-cultural and cross-national in its orientation. It transcends the cultural boundaries, it transcends the national boundaries. Whereas public administration, if you consider the non-comparative part, the main branch of public administration, it is basically culture bound. CPA is cross-cultural in nature. This is how they are different. Public administration is mostly practitioner oriented, and it is to be involved with the real world. On the contrary, CPA has attempted to seek knowledge for the sake of knowledge. So since the start of module 1 and all our sessions since the first day, we are studying this, that public administration is for practitioners, it's for bureaucrats, it's for administrators, right? So public administration is practitioner oriented, whereas comparative public administration seeks knowledge for the sake of knowledge. It wants to compare, it wants to see what is the good thing, what is the bad thing, why some systems are failing in some countries, why some systems are succeeding in some countries. So it's basically a theory, ठीक है? CPA is also for practitioners, but it basically is a theory. जो main field है public administration, वो practitioners के लिए है, no doubt, but CPA जो है वो basically एक theory है, majorly it is a theory. So this is what this point also says. Public administration is normative and descriptive in nature. By contrast, CPA is empirical, analytic, problem solution oriented and explanatory. So public administration जो है, जो main field है, it is normative and descriptive. खाली describe करके रख दिया चीज़ों को, norms बना के रख दिए हैं. Normative means you have given some norms, right? Some rules, some principles and all those things. It is normative and descriptive in nature, but CPA, it is empirical in nature. It is derived after conclusions and all those things. There is a lot of analysis being done in CPA. So it is empirical in nature, it is analytic in nature. प्रॉब्लम सॉल्यूशन होता है, प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते हैं ना, थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज के जो भी प्रॉब्लम्स हैं वो सॉल्व करने का फोकस है. सो इट इज़ अ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्यूशन ओरिएंटेड एंड इट इज़ एक्सप्लेनेटरी इन नेचर. दिस इज हाउ इट इज़ डिफरेंट फ्रॉम इट्स फादर फील्ड ऑफ पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. CPA is thus totally different from the traditional academic science of public administration. It does add new and important dimensions to the study of public administration. So I hope this slide is clear to you. Moving on to our next point, we will study now about scope of CPA. Scope of study of CPA covers three analytical building blocks of comparative analysis. First building block is administrative structure. You study administrative structures in CPA, that is nothing but organizations. Second building block is you study the actors, that is nothing but executives and bureaucrats. ठीक है, ये जो structures के अंदर जो भी actors हैं आप उनको study करोगे. This is the second thing, the second analytical block that you study. The third analytical block that you study is the actions or the bureaucratic behavior of these bureaucrats or the executives. उनका behavior आप study करते हो. These are the three analytical blocks of CPA. These three things you study: structures, actors and their actions. Now coming to the scope part, all the above mentioned aspects are dealt with the study at different levels. First is macro level, then micro level and then cross temporal level. So what is the scope of CPA? पहला तो है macro level scope. ठीक है, पूरी दुनिया का scope होता है. It has the scope of the entire world. You compare the administrations of America, of India, France, Britain, Germany, every other country you compare. So it has a macro level scope. The another level scope is a micro level scope. Within every country you study all of the institutions, and there is then the cross temporal scope. This means nothing but which relates to time. ठीक है, तो पुराने ज़माने के एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन और नए ज़माने का एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन आप ये कंपेयर करते हो. इट हैज़ अ क्रॉस टेम्पोरल स्कोप. ठीक है, तो कल्चर और नेशनल बाउंड्रीज तो होता ही है, आप टाइम को भी ट्रांसेंड करते हो. यू आर ट्रांसेंडिंग ऑल दी थ्री थिंग्स: कल्चरल बाउंड्रीज, नेशनल बाउंड्रीज एंड दी टाइम. सो क्रॉस टेम्पोरल, माइक्रो लेवल एंड मैक्रो लेवल, these are the three scopes. We'll study them now. Macro level studies extend to the structural and functional aspects of administration of common variables in the nations across the world. So you study the structures and the functions. You take the overview, the bird's eye view, right? So you study the structures and their functions in different countries around the world. This is the macro level thing. It is also concerned with the comparative analysis of ongoing problems of public administration of different nations. So whatever the ongoing problems in different countries are there, you study them also. This all comes under macro level studies. ठीक है, तो जो ओवरव्यू होता है, जो बर्ड आई व्यू होता है, आप मैक्रो लेवल पे ऊपर से ये सब पढ़ते हो. माइक्रो लेवल में आप अंदर घुसते हो. यू गो डीप इनसाइड any country and you study those institutions of that country. That is nothing but micro level. CPA can be pursued in cross cultural studies in a single country. RICS called these ideographic studies. We know what ideographic studies is and we will study them again when we study FRED W RICS. Ideographic studies is nothing but country by country basis पे जो studies होती हैं, तो आप एक single country के अंदर घुस के उसके सारे institutions पढ़ लो. This is nothing but country by country approach and it is nothing but also a micro level approach. RICS called this as ideographic studies. For example, comparing डोमेस्टिक प्रोग्राम्स और अर्बन पॉलिसीज अक्रॉस बाउंड्रीज ऑफ स्टेट एंड लोकल गवर्नमेंट्स. तो स्टेट और लोकल गवर्नमेंट के बाउंड्रीज को कंसीडर करके आप उनके पॉलिसीज को और उनके एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन को कंपेयर करोगे. दिस इज नथिंग बट माइक्रो लेवल स्टडीज. एक कोई पॉलिसी एक स्टेट में ज़्यादा अच्छी हो गई, एक कोई पॉलिसी दूसरे स्टेट में कम अच्छी हुई, तो आप ये कंपेयर कर रहे हो. दिस इज अ माइक्रो लेवल स्टडी ऑफ पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन. अकॉर्डिंग टू आर बी जैन, द फ्यूचर ऑफ CPA lies in micro level studies, in examinations of the backgrounds, attitudes and behavior of bureaucrats and those with whom they interact. So this is a quote that R.B. Jain says, that future of CPA lies in micro level studies. So these are the two levels or two scopes of CPA. First is macro level scope and second one is micro level scope. We'll come to our third scope, that is cross temporal scope, which transcends time itself. CPA is also cross temporal in dimension. Comparative approach can be used to describe and analyze societies widely different in time. Also, the administrative systems of a particular country at different periods of time can be compared and contrasted. So first thing is you can describe and analyze societies widely different in time. This is not related to one country. Okay, आप एक कंट्री के किसी एक टाइम के एक सोसाइटी को उठा लो, दूसरे कंट्री के किसी दूसरे टाइम के किसी दूसरे सोसाइटी को उठा लो, तो आप इन दोनों को कंपेयर कर सकते हो. दिस इज वन एस्पेक्ट ऑफ क्रॉस टेम्पोरल. अनदर एस्पेक्ट इज विद इन द कंट्री इटसेल्फ एट डिफरेंट पीरियड्स ऑफ टाइम यू कैन कंपेयर वेदर द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वाज सेंट्रलाइज्ड और द एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन वाज डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड. सो आप ये भी कंपेयर कर सकते हो विद इन एंड विदाउट कंट्रीज. एंड दिस इज नथिंग बट द सेकंड एस्पेक्ट ऑफ क्रॉस टेम्पोरल नेचर. फॉर एग्जांपल, comparing British Indian and post independent Indian administrative systems. This is the very basic example that I can give you. आप British Indian administration उठा लो और post independent administration system उठा लो. This is nothing but a cross temporal study of public administration. By means of such a study we can understand the continuities as well as the changes that have taken place in our administrative system. So these are the scopes of CPA. First is macro level, micro level and cross temporal, which transcends the boundaries of time itself. So moving on, we are done with the scope of CPA. Moving on, we'll now study what are the advantages of CPA. ठीक है, CPA को स्टडी करके फायदा क्या होता है, राइट? What are the advantages of comparing different countries? We'll study these advantages now, and we have studied all of this in our previous slides. It is just the repetition and collection of all those points together. Focus is on common elements in different kinds of administration and to suggest the universality of the discipline, thus help to develop commonality in public administration. So this is the first advantage, that you focus on common elements and hence you derive on a universal principle. आप common elements को ध्यान में रख के एक universal principle of comparative public administration बना लो. This is the first advantage of forming a universal approach of comparative public administration. Reveal the distinctive characteristics of a particular administrative system or a cluster of systems. This is something which, if you remember, Ramesh K. Arora said in his purpose of CPA. We studied about purpose of CPA of Ramesh K. Arora, right? He said that one of the purposes of CPA is to study distinctive characteristics of a particular system or a cluster of systems, and this is also one of the advantages of CPA studies. Repetition of the same point. Enable us to identify similarities and differences between different systems. Again the same point, similarities and differences. Shows how administration takes on the personality and coloration of a given society. So again, how society affects the administration, this we get to know. This is the another advantage. Again, we have studied this in our ecological approach and characteristics of CPA, that it has a ecology outlook, right? So this is again one of the advantages, that it has an ecology outlook. Society क्या affect करती है वो हमको पता चलता है. Help us to find out what makes certain administrative institutions, devices and features work well in one country or era while they fail dismally in other country or era. Such study identify the factors that are involved in their success or failure. This also we have studied in our previous slides. We have studied that CPA studies what makes one administrative systems click in one country and the same administrative system fail in another country. So what makes this is the study of CPA, and this is also one of the advantages of CPA, that we get to know that why one system is working in one country and it is failing in another country. This is another advantage of CPA. Explain the differences in the behavior of bureaucrats and bureaucracies and evaluate their comparative performance in different countries. So how efficient your administration is in comparison to another country, that also you get to know. This is another advantage. So you get to know how your bureaucrats are behaving in one country in comparison to another country. So this explains the difference between the behavior of bureaucrats and bureaucracies all across the world. It also suggests the introduction of necessary changes in the administrative system to improve the performance of bureaucracy. So when you say that American administrative system is more efficient than Indian administrative system or vice versa, whatever you say, so there must be something that makes you less efficient, right? तो वो less efficient चीज को सुधारने का भी एक तरीका होता है. This is one of the advantages, that you get to improve whatever is lacking in your administrative system when you compare it with other administrative systems. So this is one of the advantages, that you can improve your lacunas. Useful to deal with concrete situations and practical problem in real world. Hence the practicing administrator can get immediate aid from such studies in many facets of his work. For this reason, the utility of CPA has been recognized in the field of development administration also. So it focuses on problems of developing countries and third world countries. So it deals with concrete situations and practical problems of real world, right? So it is a development oriented thing, and that is why it has been recognized in the field of development administration also. So when you study the module of development administration, you will again find the mention of Fred W. Riggs and comparative studies and ecological approach and all those things. So this is the reason for that, and it is also one of the advantages, that we get to develop the third world countries, the less developed countries, the developing countries, उनको develop करने में help करता है. This is the another advantage of CPA studies. The next advantage is we can also improve our knowledge of administrative institutions and practices in other countries and to adopt such of them that can fit in with our nation and its systems. तो हमारी knowledge बढ़ती है जब हम compare करते हैं दूसरे countries से, तो हमारी knowledge बढ़ती है दूसरे countries के institutions के बारे में. So our knowledge about other institutions also increase, and we get to decide whether we can fit those administrative systems within our nations and whether we can improve our own administrative systems. So this is another advantage of CPA, and one example for this is Scandinavian Institution of Ombudsman, which has been widely adopted and adapted by different countries in the world. However, the functioning of this institution in the countries that adopted it is not the same. So what this point says is the Institution of Ombudsman, which was initially started in Scandinavian countries. What are these Scandinavian countries? Sweden, Denmark, Finland, I hope you remember. So these Scandinavian countries had the Institution of Ombudsman, and these have been adopted and adapted in different countries, even in India. For example, in India, Lokpal and Lokayukta, something that comes right off my mind. Lokpal and Lokayukta Yukta are the examples, and there are many ombudsman institutions in our country. For example, in banking sector, in insurance sector, हर sector में एक ombudsman है. So there are many institutions all around the world also which have adopted this institution of ombudsman from Scandinavian countries. So this is how one administrative system is being adopted and adapted by different countries, right? And also you will find that the countries that adopt these systems, they adopt them considering their own cultures. So it is not the same. The Indian ombudsman will not be same as the Scandinavian ombudsman, but the fact remains that we have adopted it from them. So these are the advantages of CPA studies. This is very simple. I hope it is clear to you. So moving on to our next slide, what are the shortcomings of CPA? We'll study some shortcomings of CPA now. CPA has strong prescriptive motivations. So this is a fact that it is not descriptive in nature. It does not just describe things, it also prescribe things. For some problems it will prescribe a solution. ठीक है, कुछ problem है तो उसका solution भी देगा. तो CPA has strong prescriptive motivations. However, this is a fact that it has strong prescriptive motivations. However, it could not develop a viable applied aspect. Prescriptive motivation होने के बावजूद भी वो एक applied aspect नहीं बना पाया. It could not develop a viable applied aspect. The need for practical application, which was central in its early formative period, has gradually become a very weak urge. So it basically is more or less just a theory. It is no more practical. ठीक है, वो एक खाली theory बन गई है. We have seen this point in our earlier slide also when we compared the parent field of public administration and CPA. We studied this point that CPA is more of a theory and public administration, the parent field, is more of a practitioner oriented, right? And this is again the shortcoming that we are studying the same thing, that it अब more or less सिर्फ एक theory बन गई है. It is not very useful for bureaucrats on ground or administrators on ground. तो उनके लिए ज़्यादा useful नहीं है. It could not develop a viable applied aspect. So this is first shortcoming, that it is prescriptive but still it is not as applied as it should be. CPA has failed to provide help or guidance to practitioners in solving problems or removing obstacles to developmental activities. It failed to inform the practitioners about what they did not know. So this we have studied in our previous point also and in our previous slide also, that it is not practitioner oriented, more or less it is just a theory now. And the more important point is it failed to inform the practitioners about what they did not already know. जो उनको नहीं पता था वो बताने का काम होता है ना किसी भी चीज़ का, तो वो बताया नहीं. जो पता है वही ऑलरेडी बताते गए, तो जो नहीं पता है वो बताया नहीं. So they did not inform practitioners about what they did not know. This is the second shortcoming of CPA. The theories developed have not been put to empirical testing. We say that CPA is empirical, right? But when reality comes, we find that it has not been put to empirical testing. आप advantages में लिख दो कि ये empirical है nature में. Fred W. Rix ने भी बोला है कि CPA is empirical in nature, but empirical testing की गई है कि इसका actually की गई है empirical testing? So you find the answer is no. There is no empirical testing that has been done. It is just on theory that we say that it is empirical in nature. Their inability to frame theory in testable terms has been pointed out by critics like Henderson and Siegelman. And Siegelman, you will study about this when you study development administration also. Siegelman is a person who criticizes development administration, and this has been put out by critics of development administration also, that there is no empirical testing that has been done. So this is another shortcoming of CPA. The comparative public administration started with no paradigm of its own and developed none. We studied that this was one of the characteristic of CPA, right? Pre-paradigmatic stage. You remember pre-paradigmatic stage as being one of the characteristics or features of CPA. So this is also one of the shortcomings of CPA, that it started with no paradigm of its own and it developed none. ठीक है, तो pre-paradigmatic stage में ही अटक गया CPA जो है. No orthodoxy was established or even attempted. The result, according to Peter Savage, has been paradigmatic confusion. तो ये एक paradigmatic confusion है. कहाँ प्लेस करना है, कौन से एरा में, कौन से फेज में प्लेस करें हम CPA को, ये हमको पता ही नहीं है. Because it is in a pre-paradigmatic stage. It developed none of its paradigms and it started with none of its paradigms. ठीक है, बाकी सारे स्टडीज क्या होती हैं, all of the other studies they start with none of their own paradigms but they develop their own paradigms, right? For example, there is one paradigm of public administration as management, so that is a paradigm of NPM. There is one paradigm or the latest paradigm of public administration as public administration, that is a paradigm when NPA came to power, right? CPA on the other hand has no paradigm of its own. You cannot place CPA in any of the paradigms. So this is a paradigmatic confusion that is happening according to Peter Savage. So these are the four shortcomings of comparative public administration. These are very simple to remember. I hope they are clear to you. So moving on, Rix considers such confusion what Peter Savage has called paradigmatic confusion. Riggs considers such confusion a virtue, a cause for excitement, normal in a pre-paradigmatic field. So what Peter Savage has given as a shortcoming, Peter Savage says that there is a paradigmatic confusion. Fred W. Riggs on the other hand says that no, it is not a shortcoming, it is a virtue, a cause for excitement. क्योंकि वो confusion रहेगा तभी तो excitement रहेगा काम करने के लिए और काम करने के लिए. अगर चीज़ें stable हो गई, if you find a paradigm and you are stable, so there will be no more excitement to work for it, to work for its further development. So what Riggs says is that this confusion that you are saying is a virtue and it is a cause for excitement and it is normal in a pre-paradigmatic field. This is what Fred W. Riggs says. Despite its shortcomings, no one can deny the significance or value of CPA studies. So we all know this, that okay, there are some shortcomings, that is fine, but its value you cannot deny its significance. Its value is that one can gain a better conceptual grasp of the subject of public administration. However, the methods used in the analytical process of CPA are much complicated. So the fact remains that if you have to understand public administration better, you have to compare public administrations across the world, across the nations, within the nation. So you have to compare things to understand public administration better, and you cannot deny its significance. You cannot say that these are the shortcomings, you cannot deny its significance. However, we have also to accept that the methods used in CPA are very much complicated, and we will study this when we will study models of comparative public administration in our next session. We will study that how these methods are complicated. It's not simple, okay? इतना simple नहीं है. Fred W. Riggs ने भी जो methods दिए हैं, his models of agraria industria, fused prismatic and diffracted models, his models are also complicated. They are not so easy to understand. So we cannot deny its significance, but the fact remains that the methods used for comparative studies are complicated. In today's world, the need for comparative study for public administration across the nations is all the more great. So today, the need for CPA is all the more great. आज बहुत need है compare करने का. Certain external forces such as globalization of economy, the need of the nations to work within the context of international economic order, and the interdependency for the sake of economic development have exerted pressure to move in the direction of comparative study of public administration. So what is the need in today's time of comparative administration? All these things. First is globalization of economy. Second is the need to work in a international economic order. एक particular international economic order है, उसके अंदर ही काम करना है. Because if one economy fails, the entire world economy will fail. Such connectivity is there within the economies today. अगर आज कोई economy fail होती है तो पूरी दुनिया पे effect पड़ेगा. And that is why it is important to compare things. That is why it is important to compare public administration, because of globalization, because of the need to work in an international economic order, and the interdependency for the sake of economic development. The interdependency भी है ना सारे economies में all over the world. तो इसके लिए आज के टाइम में बहुत ज़रूरी है कि हम compare करके चीज़ों को आगे बढ़ें. आज के टाइम में it is the need of the hour that we compare things. So these are some shortcomings, but still you can counter it by these points. So I hope this is clear to you. Moving on to our last slide of today. Is there a universal theory of CPA? क्या CPA की एक universal theory है? We'll see. According to Robert C. Fried, a universal theory of CPA remains elusive. There is no universal theory of CPA. It remains elusive. Following are some important factors responsible for the failure to produce a science of comparative public administration. First reason for failure of universal theory is national administrative systems are more difficult to study than other political institutions. For example, legislatures, courts, political parties, etc. Particularly when studies in terms of performance. So when you study polity, you study comparison of British polity, USA polity, French polity, right? You study these things, and these things are easy to study because as you can see in this point, it is easy to study political institutions. For example, legislature, court and political parties of different countries. It is easy to study them, and it is difficult to study the administrative systems of those countries. So first reason that there is no universal theory is national administrative systems are more difficult to study than political institutions of other nations. So this is the first reason. Second reason that there is no universal theory is the boundaries of administrative systems are difficult to establish because they consist of agencies specialized by function, agencies at different levels of government, etc. Implementation networks vary by function, and hence variance within countries may be as great as between countries. So what this point says is you can define a boundary for a nation that this is administrative system of USA, this is administrative system of France, of India, of Britain, right? You can define the national boundaries of administrative systems, but within the nation it is difficult to define boundaries. When you go for micro level studies, right, that time it is difficult to define the boundaries of administrative system, because most of the administrative systems that are there or institutions that are there, they consist of agencies, as you can see, consist of agencies specialized by function. So those are the agencies which are specialized by function. For example, a department which takes care of women or of children or of farmers, so this is the department which will have a national outlook, right? It will not be defined by boundaries of state or local governments, right? So such boundaries are difficult to establish within the nation, because most of the agencies are specialized by function and not by region. They are specialized by function, and there are agencies at different levels of government, etc. So that is why it is difficult to establish boundaries within the nation. Also, as you can see, implementation networks vary by function, and hence variance within countries may be as great as between countries. So आपको between countries तो variance मिलेगा ही. American administrative system will be different from Indian administrative system, so there will be variance between countries, but because of this factor that there is difficult to make a boundary within country, you will find that there is variance within countries also, because implementation networks vary by function. So one implementation network will focus on welfare of women, and other implementation network will focus on education. So such implementations vary by function, and that is why variation between them will be as great as between countries. So this is the second factor, that there is no universal theory, because national boundaries can be made, but within nation you cannot make boundaries of administrative systems to study at a micro level. So this is the second reason. Third is administrative agencies are constantly changing. This is a problem in CPA, because time changes and we have to keep up with time. Administration cannot remain constant, right? Administration has to keep up with changing times. So administration keeps changing with time. Administration keeps changing with culture. If you have a traditional cultural outlook and if you change that to a modern cultural outlook, in a similar manner administration will have to adopt to those modern cultural values that you have now transformed to, right? So administrative agencies are constantly changing, and this is a problem in CPA. You cannot therefore develop a universal theory, because the things that you are studying, उनको जिनको आप analyze कर रहे हो, study कर रहे हो, वही change होते रहते हैं time के साथ. So this is the another reason. The subject matter of CPA to be studied combines diversity with complexity. तो diversity तो होती है plus complexity भी होती है. So it combines diversity with complexity. This is another reason that there is no universal theory. It combines change with formalism. तो change तो होता ही है और formalism भी होता है. जो formal structure होता है which is more or less constant, तो उसके साथ साथ change भी होता है. So it combines diversity with complexity, change with formalism, all to be understood only within total ecological context. तो ये सब तो होता ही है, diversity, complexity, change, formalism, and all of this in relation to ecology. फिर आपको ecological effects भी लेके आओ. So you are seeing how complex this becomes, right? So this is why it is difficult to develop a universal theory, क्योंकि इतना complicate हो गई ये चीज़ें. आपने अपने over enthusiasm में, as we have studied this in our shortcoming slide, that it was the over enthusiasm of CPA scholars that they have given so much and they have made it so complex. ठीक है, इतना सब कुछ complex कर दिया है कि अब एक universal theory बनाना मुश्किल है, बहुत मुश्किल है. कंट्रीज वेरी इन द डिग्री ऑफ द रिसर्चेबल वर्ड ऑल्सो. तो हर कंट्री का अपना रिसर्चेबल वर्ड होगा ना, कि हम क्या रिसर्च कर रहे हैं, तो वो भी डिफर करता है. तो आप उसको कंपेयर नहीं कर सकते. फॉर एग्जांपल, वन कंट्री इज रिसर्चिंग ऑन समथिंग एंड इफ अनदर कंट्री इज नॉट रिसर्चिंग ऑन दैट एस्पेक्ट, सो यू कैन नॉट कंपेयर दोज टू थिंग्स. सो कंट्रीज वेरी इन डिग्री ऑफ द रिसर्चेबल वर्ड ऑल्सो, एंड यू कैन नॉट कंपेयर एवरीथिंग. वी कैन कंपेयर ओनली वॉट इज कंपेरेबल. यू से दैट वी हैव टू कंपेयर ऑल ओवर द वर्ल्ड, सब कुछ कंपेयर करना चाहिए. यू कैन से दैट बट द फैक्ट रिमेन्स दैट यू कैन not compare everything. For example, we can compare Indian administration with British administration. You can do that, but we cannot compare Indian administration with Chinese administration, because that comparison would be misleading due to system differences. So basic inherent basic system जो है Indian administration का और Chinese administration का, वही different है. तो आप उसको compare करोगे तो that would be misleading. You can still compare to an extent, but that would be misleading. On the other hand, if you can compare Indian administration with British administration, because the foundation of Indian administration was British administration, right? So you can compare these two things, but you cannot compare Indian with the Chinese administration. So that brings home the point that you cannot compare everything. On theory, on paper, you can say that we have to compare everything, but the fact remains that you cannot compare everything. Even among several advanced countries also, comparison is problematic, since data tends to be available only in the most general or the most particular sense. So either the data will be in the most general sense, ठीक है, या तो एक overall बहुत ही general sense में data होगा, या तो एक बहुत ही पर्टिकुलर सेंस में डेटा होगा. सो आइदर इन द मोस्ट जनरल और इन द मोस्ट पर्टिकुलर सेंस. दिस इज हाउ डेटा इज कलेक्टेड इन एवरी कंट्री. सो दिस इज वाई इट इज डिफिकल्ट टू कंपेयर बिटवीन एडवांस्ड कंट्रीज ऑल्सो. ठीक है, जो मेजर यूरोपियन एंड अमेरिकन कंट्रीज हैं उनके बीच में भी कंपेरिजन डिफिकल्ट है बिकॉज ऑफ दिस वेरिएशन. सो यू कैन नॉट कंपेयर एवरीथिंग एंड दिस इज द अनदर रीजन दैट देयर इज नो यूनिवर्सल थियरी ऑफ कंपैरेटिव पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन टुडे. A major problem with CPA is that it has been behavioral. We have seen this when we were studying history of CPA, that behavioral approach was one of the factors which led to the emergence of CPA, right? CPA is often called as a behavioral revolution, if you remember that. So whatever the problems of behavioral approach were also the problems of CPA. What were the problems of behavioral approach? Go back to behavioral session. We have discussed the shortcomings of behavioral approach over there in module 2. So one of the big problem of behavioral approach is that it deals so much with non-formalism and behavior and everything. It neglects the formal aspect. ठीक है, behavioral approach क्या बोलती है कि हमको behavior study करना चाहिए, right? Bureaucrats का and all those things. This is the behavioral approach, that we have to study the behaviors of bureaucrats and administrators. So it is so much focused on non-formal and behavioral aspects and everything that it ignores the formal aspects, and this has been one of the major disadvantages of CPA also, that it has more or less remained behavioral. Behavioral approach gave rise to CPA and CPA more or less remained behavioral. This has been one of the other reasons or shortcomings that there is no universal theory of CPA. There is little agreement among the writers in CPA as to methodology, approaches, techniques, etc. to be followed in the researches. So as we have already discussed, every author, every thinker has given their own approach or their own एनालिसिस ऑफ कंपैरेटिव पब्लिक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन, एंड उनके बीच में कुछ ज़्यादा एग्रीमेंट नहीं है. देयर इज लिटिल एग्रीमेंट अमंग द राइटर्स इन CPA एंड स्कॉलर्स, एंड दिस इज व्हाई वी डू नॉट हैव अ यूनिवर्सल थियरी ऑफ CPA इन टुडेज टाइम्स. सो इफ अ क्वेश्चन अराइजेज इन एग्जाम, इज देयर अ यूनिवर्सल थियरी ऑफ CPA? नो, देयर इज नो यूनिवर्सल थियरी ऑफ CPA, and these are the 8 reasons for that. I hope this is clear to you. It is very simple. So with this we are done with today's session, and in the next session we'll go into the models or the approaches of CPA. What are the different models or approaches of CPA? We'll go into that, and in the next session after that we'll go into Fred WRX. We'll study about Fred WRX. So subscribe to the channel if you do not want to miss the next session. Also like and share the video if you like the content, and comment on the video whatever you like, you didn't like, comment on the video. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you very much for listening to this. Hope to see you soon in my next session. Peace.